Welcome to the Pull the Chute podcast with Jeff and Jana. This is our weekly venture into the world of small to medium-sized businesses and the entrepreneurial spirit that drives success.
So our goal here is to help you grow and to be the best you can be, both in business and personally. To do that, we identify and we discuss topics that will hopefully help you as you work to build a successful business.
We also interview business owners and executives. It's our hope that you may be able to gain insight on ways to help you be a better leader and provide a better culture for your people.
Our mission here is to help you pull the chute once a week to work on your business instead of always working in your business.
So we hope you find these discussions insightful, helpful, and useful.
And thanks for your support. We hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Well, welcome everyone to the Pull the Chute podcast with Jeff and Jana. We are so excited that you're here today. Hey, Jana, how are things for you today?
Good today, Friday. Woo!
Yeah, it is Friday for us, even though these drop on Wednesdays. We always like to tell people that we record throughout the week, and then we drop them on Wednesdays. But we're excited that it is the weekend. I'm also excited for our guest. Neil Rogers is here with us. He just came through a very traffic jam in Boston. He got to us finally.
We got him.
Welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here, gang. Glad I could make it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And again, we were talking, it's funny because he's in Boston. We're in Nashville, by the way. And he said, you know what the problem was? Absolutely nothing. It's just people.
Just people in a sign.
Isn't that the crazy part, though? I know. It just happens to be like that sometimes. So, hey, Neil, what we like to do is just give our listeners a little bit of background. So if you could briefly give us a little bit of background about you and how you got to where you're at today and what you're doing today.
So real quick, I am the seventh of eight of an Irish Catholic family born about 6 miles outside of Boston.
All right.
Boston. Pack the car.
Struggled a little bit coming out of high school, didn't a little bit directionless, and found myself in the hospitality business.
Okay.
And as a bartender primarily, and I knew that I didn't want that to be my life's work. And after a couple of swings and misses at school, I decided to get serious, and I developed myself a little process and became a very good student. And then I took that same type of process on the road selling for the last 37 or so years. And it's been very good to me, very simple, and then of course, all the soft skills that I learned working with the public behind the bar is what I wrote a book on called Bar Tips.
Oh, I saw that.
Hey.
Yeah. Love it. All right. Well, so you open the door with the process, or the process. I can't do the Boston thing, but anyway. Tell us about that. What was that, and how did you come about it?
Well, I literally, you've met the only guy on the planet that that flunked out of 2 community colleges.
Hey, I love that.
Self-esteem was low. But I discovered that when I had purpose and a focus, I came up with this process, and the process ain't that hard. You know, they like you to show up.
Yeah.
They like you to take notes, actively listen,
Mm-hmm.
do the extra work, over deliver, if you will.
Right.
Do all those, ask questions, go to the office hours, all those things. And that's what I did. It kind of sounds like sales, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I took on the road. I showed up, I was organized, I was on time, I was respectful of their time. I knew what I was talking about. If I didn't know what I was talking about, I would tell them that, and I would find out, and I would come back to them. I knew about other things in the industry, so if I couldn't help them, other people would. And if you think of each one of those things, what we call that in the restaurant business is peripheral knowledge, right? So you always like to walk out of you come out of the hotel and you say to the doorman, "Hey, where can I get the best steak around?"
Yeah.
And they should know, because that's part of what they do.
Right.
That's peripheral knowledge. And so you can take that into the marketplace as well, whatever you're selling. And that's what I did. So
over deliver. Is it like over delivering, Neil? Or we talk about over delivering. Yeah.
So it's all about, that's when I sign my books, that's what I put in. That's the inscription, over deliver. That's what we do. It's what we do in our current business. That's what I believe I've done in every successful field. Every successful sales operation I've been involved with. And do something that surprises them. We call that surprise and delight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, you guys can do that, or nobody ever tells me that information, or those types. Those are the types of things I like to hear.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's funny when you were describing of just doing the simple things. My wife used to tell my girls, just play the game, right?
Yeah.
Do what's
Yeah.
expected of you, right?
Mhm.
Play the game, and you're going to be successful just doing that. Now, if you over deliver a little bit, oh my gosh, then the
Yeah.
sky's the limit.
Whoa, you've invented fire.
Yeah, right. It's funny. Back in the day, I worked at Harris Bank in Chicago for 12 years, and I left, and I had a side hustle of painting houses, outside houses. And I had two guys working for me full time, and all that other stuff. And there was times when I would go to people's houses, and if I was going to be 5 minutes late, if I could be 2 minutes late, I'd call them.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I'm going to be a few minutes late. I apologize. I got caught in traffic. And I'd walk in and they'd go, okay, the first guy was 35 minutes late, never apologized. The second guy didn't even show up. So unless your prices are way out of whack, you're pretty much got the job because you called me and said you're 2 minutes late, right?
That's so great. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I talk about it with like coming from a servant heart. Like, what can I do to over deliver, of course, but also like what are challenges that you have that aren't typical of this situation, and let's try to solve those. Because then that's that idea of over delivering again. And I think that's very much the way selling is in this day and age. I mean, I feel like people expect that now. They want you to sort of give added value to whatever the proposal or the proposition is or the requirement is, don't you? I mean, it certainly has.
Yeah, and that kind of sets you apart because not everybody does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Like it's I don't know. I spoke in front, but not everybody's got. I mean, this is what I was made to do. Neil was never going to be an engineer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could pour booze fast and I could sell things.
Mhm,
There you
mhm.
go. That's a wrap, right?
I love it.
So,
And I like people. I mean, I mean, this was a guy. I know we all had a tough time during. You know what? I won't even say the word.
Yes.
But people like us, not being able to talk to people or go have a
Yes.
coffee with somebody, I was losing my mind.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, we talk about that. Jeff and I talk about that a lot. Just the energy of having a human experience with somebody is really important. It's very different than an email or a text or phone calls get you there a little bit because you get the voice, but you don't get all the other fun, gooey stuff that goes with, communicating face to face with somebody. There's a lot of other things that occur body wise, just simple, physics things that occur. So I agree.
Have you read the book, The Happiness Advantage?
No.
No.
I put that on your short list. And before you buy it, and before you go through that process, watch, the guy's name is Sean Acor. And Sean Acor has got a wonderful TED Talk. He jams as much as he can in the 12-minute TED Talk.
Mhm.
And I think it'll get you to go and go the book route. But one of the things he uncovered, what he did is he studied happiness researched happiness at Harvard for 12 years after graduating. And one of the things he concluded was that a good marker for our longevity and our overall lifelong happiness is the depth and the breadth of our social interactions.
Wow, see, I'm all about that. That's my wheelhouse.
So I believe wholeheartedly in that, and I know for me, and that was I don't know if you've read Howard Gardner's Frames of Mind, but he talks about different types of intelligence. Now, out of high school, I did not have the classic IQ intelligence, book smart intelligence.
Right.
Didn't have it. I did have, some sort, who knows, some sort of undiagnosed AD focus issues, who knows, right? But what I had was interpersonal intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence and musical intelligence. So I had some other types of intelligence, which would have gone which would have taken me a lot to my self-esteem when I couldn't figure out the traditional route.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You shouldn't be doing this. You really should be over here. And so, and I got there finally, but it was all trial and error. I mean, it was like,
Sure.
obviously I flunked out twice and just kept on rolling, trying to figure it out. And then I realized that I think, I mentioned it in my book. It's, I put down that first drink after flunking out and after this, that, and the other thing. And the woman looked at me and goes, boy, that's pretty good. And I was like, hold on here. Yeah, I might just have something. I like that feeling I just got.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean, we thrive on again, making people happy and over
Sure.
and understanding what they want, not what I think they want.
Right.
That's a
Right.
key point, I think, not what I think they want. And that's where it comes to, we always like to talk about listening, but really listening to people,
Active listening. Mhm.
because a lot of times you think you hear things, but you don't hear the little things. And if you would have paid attention to the little things, again, sales 101, right? That tells people that you're listening and they're more impressed.
Mhm. It's also understanding communication to the level where you know what they want by what they're not saying. It's like delivery of communication is the subtlety of that is also knowing like what they're not saying, how you can help them by what they're not saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Think.
do. I'm a firm believer. As a matter of fact, I just dropped a free download on my website
There you
on
go.
on active listening and a little
Yes.
hack on how to practice it. So one of the things I tell people, or I suggest, I should say, I don't tell anybody anything, right? We're
Right.
Right.
mentors. I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. I believe
Mhm.
there's a difference. I don't want to tell
Yeah.
you what to do. Here's what I would suggest. So one of the things I suggest people do is go to a counter, go to a bar, go to wherever people are gathering where you can sit in amongst the people. And if you find an opportunity, engage somebody and ask them a question, as Dale Carnegie would prescribe, about them.
Yep.
Tell me
Mhm.
about you. Why do you live in the area? A simple question. You don't have to like go deep, and then get the conversation rolling, and then sit back and listen.
Mhm.
And with every fiber of your being, avoid the opportunity to talk over them, to interrupt them, and please do not one better them.
Yeah.
Oh, that story is
Oh
great.
yeah,
Well, let me
that's
hear this.
good.
Oh my goodness, so it's like, okay, were you really listening to me?
Yeah.
Or were you waiting to give me your piece? Like you
Yeah.
had this in your mind. So I practice that all the time. Right here I'm in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and down the street here is a little breakfast place. I don't eat eggs at home. So this is we live in our primary residence is in New Hampshire. As a general rule, I don't eat it. This breakfast place doesn't have an oatmeal, doesn't have any, but I go there so I can talk to people.
That's so cool.
I go there so I like the waitresses. They're nice people.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I meet so many people there, and I invite them to parties and in the whole nine. So it's just, and one of the key thing that I always tell people, and this is how I finished off. I actually just did a quick little commercial on this yesterday. The end of the talk I did on the active listening thing. I said, here's a line that a mentor and a friend of mine said to me years ago. Well, we were in the sporting goods business. We would go to trade shows. We were multi-line reps and whatnot. And he'd get us all in, and he'd go over. All right, all right, we got to make sure we're at these booths. We're gonna be so the sales managers need to see us. Help, always jump in. So he was all about this stuff. I said, of course, he and his brother are acknowledged in the book. And then he'd go in and say, listen, one more thing. Never avoid an opportunity to keep your mouth shut.
That's great.
And how hard is that, right?
Oh, it's hard.
Especially when you're getting, people are talking about things and you're like, you almost want to share back, but it's like, just listen, just listen.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Brian Regan, Brian Regan, the comedian?
Yes.
Yeah.
He does a bit on this. I'm waiting. I'm coming. Here.
It's so true, though.
It is. I love it.
So true.
So what are three things that you would tell people from your Bar Tips book that helps them to be better salespeople besides listening?
Okay, so organization.
Okay.
How are you organized? For sure.
How are you organized personally? How are you organized as a business? What are you talking about there?
All around.
Okay.
How are you presented? Let's call it presented. Because I have a chapter on attitude, aptitude, and appearance. I also have a chapter on time management. I have a chapter on organization in my book.
Okay.
All those things are important. They all can be tied to how are you presenting yourself? How are you making that let's go
First
to the old
impression.
adage,
Yeah.
the first impression.
Yep.
Because guess what? You don't have a what? Second chance at it.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's interesting. So all right, so there's one. I'll circle back. The I think you should know your product cold, and
Mhm.
your peripheral knowledge should be intact. You should be studying your industry. You should know what other people are doing. You should know products that can help your clients that you don't carry. And that's from just networking and being involved and asking questions. And of course, in today's world, it's a keystroke with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to know about this. There it is. Beautiful. And this is the one I actually just did a whole bit on this. All the stuff will show up on my social pretty soon. But I did a bit on taking ownership when a business problem arises. What could I have done?
Yes.
Right? How could I have done better? So you're not lashing out like, and the guy that gave me this one was another mentor who was acknowledged in the book, Jim Gallagher. And Jim was like that crazy tops of the trees sales guy in this food business I was in, wholesale to restaurants, that type of thing. And he was a wiseacre, and he'd drink a beer and bust your chops and all that stuff. But then you go train with him, and he was a different guy. He was that guy over here, and then he was this guy when he had to be in front of clients.
Mhm.
And he said, listen, if you hear nothing else from what I'm telling you, I want you to remember, whenever anything goes wrong, start here.
Yep.
You're less likely to blame the truck driver or the
Mhm.
picker in the warehouse. So, did I place the order right? Did I get it in on time? Let me go down my checklist and then solve the problem without the customer knowing.
Mhm.
I'll give you a bar example. This is great. Dennis Mayer worked with me at a place called Tia's in Boston, one of the hottest places in Boston at the time. You got in the bar at 4:30 in the afternoon. You did not stop until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Wow.
Nonstop. All the financial district would come down, all those people. It was all the beautiful people in town. Anyways, this was early on, probably a day shift. I didn't work many days, but I remember it was light. It was during the day. Oh, it was just not that busy. And this woman came up to the bar and said, I'd like a vodka martini extra dry, straight up. So Dennis does what he always does. He goes over, he ice downs the mixing glass, make sure that the up glass is going to be chilled as well. He pours the vodka, brings it back, pours it into the glass, brings it over the woman, puts a twist in it, brings it over the woman, drops it down. She takes a sip out of it. That's not dry enough.
That's funny.
So Dennis comes walking by me. He goes, I've been doing this 15 years. I haven't put a drop of vermouth in a martini yet.
Wow.
So what does Dennis do though? Goes over, ices down the mixing glass, brings it over towards her so she could see, not in her face, pours the vodka, stirs it up, pours it into the up glass, which is chilled, does the twist, puts it in front of her. She takes a sip. That's the one. Same day.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, but what did we learn here?
Well, yeah,
Right?
we get it. Yeah.
Dennis could have told her the same story he told me.
Uh-huh.
Ma'am, I've never put any vermouth in a martini.
Yeah.
Instead, he goes high road, does it in front of her. So there's no beef, no other customers involved.
Right.
Nobody sees an altercation. The woman was happy. They lost 2 ounces of booze.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
Be
everybody
the problem solver, right? Just be the problem solver. Don't make a big deal. That's great, because again, they remember that. Clients remember these kinds of things. Like you said, Jeff, when you said, I called 2 minutes out, like I'm 2 minutes out, I'm sorry. And you got the gig. It's like clients want that. People want that. People want to be taken care of and heard. That's just part of it. That's great.
And I think it's good
where
leaders.
humility comes in, right?
Yes.
If you're a good salesperson, you're making some money, you're wearing nice watches, you got nice clothes. You might be a little full of yourself at times. Possibly, I've seen it. I'm not saying I did it. Maybe I did a little.
Yeah.
And you just got to take a step back and just
Yeah.
get that humility. And the line I put in this. I this one I like a lot because I think this is where people fall short a lot. You know, they want to blame somebody else. I don't want to, it wasn't me. It was, no, you know what? Guess what? It was you. You're part of the chain.
Yep.
Mhm.
Figure it out. And if you can solve the problem, which Dennis solved that problem without her knowing what happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She was just happy. So the line I use at the end of this, I literally just did these yesterday afternoon. I gave it this one. And just remember one thing. Being right, it's overrated.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You know, we tell leaders all the time. The first thing I tell when I'm doing my leadership development program, first thing I teach them is it's not about you.
Yeah.
Right? It's about you protecting your people. So when something goes wrong, you take the blame. You don't put it on them. When something goes right, you give the praise. You don't put it on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you got to do. You know, I mean, it's you know, it's just part of being a leader, and that makes the difference.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how that just falls short on people, though. It's like, you know, I mean, we do stuff in we've been in the swag business for 27 years, my wife and I. A nice little business out of our house, does very well, been very good to us.
Mhm.
I go, are other people doing this? This isn't really all that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To just do what you say you're going to do, and you know, and follow up, be nice, and send samples, and you know, systematically market to them. You know, give them, you know, but also have respect for their time. It's I don't get it, but I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy to take, you know, to take the charge on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
That's
Neil,
great.
thanks so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate it. What's one thing you want people to know when they get into sales? What's one big thing that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Mindset matters.
It does.
Mind matters.
Mindset
That's a good one.
matters.
Mindset matters. You
I think
need
I think I have the title for this podcast. It's great.
Yes.
find something that gets you in a good frame of mind before you
Mhm.
start your day. You control 90% of your happiness, and this is all for all your listeners is what you will read in Happiness Advantage. Of course, I'd
Mhm.
like you to read my book, Bar Tips: Everything I Need to Know in Sales, Learn Behind the Bar.
I love that.
But maybe you get them both.
Yeah.
They're both good reads. They're both quick, and they keep moving. Mine is filled with stories and all that, and it's anecdotal. This is
Yeah.
what
Yes.
works for me. You know what?
Yeah.
Take what you get from it and leave the rest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Neil, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, my website is positiveactivity.net.
Okay.
And that's our trademark program that we do to get people's mindset right before we take them in journey of business development.
Mhm.
And my email is neil@positiveactivity.net.
Great.
My phone number is 603-321-6640.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, thanks, Neil, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. To all our
Yeah.
listeners out there,
So great.
we just always love when we get these kind of guests on that are just looking at things sometimes so simplistically, yet makes a ton of sense, right? And how do we miss it is the question, right? How do we just miss the simple things sometimes? We overcomplicate our lives and the way we approach things. So, Neil, thanks for reminding us that it can be very simple. And I love it. I love it a lot. Again, to our listeners, thank you for your support as always, Jan, and I love the emails. Keep them coming. By the way, if you need to get a hold of Jana, it's jana@janalandry.com. Myself is either jeff@pullthechute.net or just info@pullthechute.net. Both of those get there. We are always willing to work with people and talk to people about their leadership development skills. So please contact us and let us know if you're interested. Until the next time, I should say, stay safe and be healthy.